So what city is your store in? Remind me.
Hudson, Ohio.
Hopefully one day I get to come visit.
You know what? It's so interesting. I've actually had a number of people come from Houston, of all places.
Really?
They saw me on Facebook, and the name of the store just kind of made them giggle. So a couple of them actually said they planned a trip to Cleveland to go see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then they took an Uber down to my place. I thought it was so cute.
That's awesome. That means you chose the right name. If you're attracting
Orange
people,
Rose Apothecary.
yeah, you chose the right name. It grabs people's attention. You think
It
because it's
does. I don't know
safe?
if you're a fan of Schitt's Creek. That's kind of what people are hoping for when they see us. So David Rose was my idol, and during COVID, that's what made me think if he can do this, I certainly can. So
I
it
love that.
it's been so much fun. I love it.
Really. I can remember before you started the store, and I think you even mentioned to me, well, I'm thinking about opening up a store. And I was like, wow. And you did it.
I know. I'm going into my fourth year now. So
Yeah.
I was so lucky to have made enough money during COVID. And then I got
Mhm.
a state of Ohio grant that allowed me to build my lab right into the back of the store. So I can work in my lab, and then I have these two big giant windows so people can watch me or I can talk to them while they're in the store. It's
That's
been,
so neat. It's like an
yeah,
open kitchen concept that they have
yeah,
at restaurants.
exactly. That's kind of what I wanted.
That's super cool. So where was your lab before?
I'm downtown Akron.
Mhm.
It was it's called Bounce. It's a business incubator for startups. And I
Neat.
was there for 5.5 years, and they give you mentors and all kinds of help. And I had a really cute little lab there, but no windows. And I loved it there. It was such a nice community of a lot of other entrepreneurs. And I was one of the lucky ones to graduate and move out.
I want to talk about definitely all the products in detail, but I kind of want to start going back and just before you started, I read that you were in fashion before. And how did you make that transition to what you're doing now?
I actually started out in medical sales, so I sold pharmaceuticals and capital equipment. I sold anesthesia machines for a while. But then I got married, and my husband owns a clothing store. And so I've been a clothing buyer of designer brands for 25 years. It's like, and I still go there every Friday morning. I'm teaching another person to take over the buy for me. So I was always very much into fashion, and I noticed your Chanel book too.
Isn't that funny? My best friend gave that to me for my birthday one year, and it's really fun to look through.
I know, I noticed that right away. It was probably, it was 8 years ago. My then 16-year-old daughter started having seizures and fatigue, and this was an athlete.
Mm.
Um, if you ever watch your child have a seizure, it's the worst feeling in the world. There's nothing you can do to stop it. And I just can't explain it. It was awful. And so we spent 2 years in and out of the Cleveland Clinic trying to figure out what she had.
Mm.
And during that time of she had been admitted a couple of times and lots of testing. I was waiting there for hours and hours. So I started reading labels, thinking, if the doctors can't figure it out, I'm going to figure it out. And as it turns out, I was just shocked and horrified by what I was reading. So I kept a journal of all these big words. I Googled them. I got on EWG. I got on Think Dirty. And I was always just disgusted. I actually went cold turkey. I threw out all my stuff. But
Hmm.
then when I started to go into the health food stores, hopeful, it wasn't the kind of stuff I wanted. It wanted a little bit more of a luxury, more of an interesting product. So I turned my kids' playroom into a lab and started making stuff. I researched all the different oils I wanted to use. I have a thing where I do not love coconut oil, but I found hemp seed oil. And hemp seed oil, comparative to coconut oil, it's a dry oil, it's non comedogenic, it's got so many linoleic acids. It's so good for your skin that I based a lot of my products around it.
Okay.
And so, as it turned out, my daughter, I finally asked for a neuro consult. And after doing a tilt table test, they finally were able to diagnose her with POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. So
Okay.
she has learned to deal with that. It was triggered by mono. It can be triggered by COVID, but there's all different ways you can get it, and there's different things you have to do. So she has to have a lot of salt in her body. So I did research on salt and
Oh,
found that our white table salt has been bleached and processed. So we
I
only use pink Himalayan salt. I use it in my products, I use it in the kitchen.
Yeah, I noticed that in your products, the pink Himalayan salt. And so, did she have the seizure because she didn't have enough salt? Is that what caused that initial seizure?
No, I don't know how the initial seizure came about, but the thing with salt, it increases your blood volume. So whenever you
Mhm.
go in the hospital and you're really sick, the first thing they do is give you a bag of saline, which is salt water. So because when you have POTS, when you stand up, the blood volume does not get to your lungs and then your head, and you faint or have a seizure. So
Mm,
that's the importance of salt. So she has to have a very high salt diet
I see. And why did you choose the pink Himalayan?
because it is the most natural. It's
Mhm.
not processed. It contains 18 minerals
Okay.
and it's pretty.
Pretty. It's not bleached, right?
No, it's not bleached. It's naturally, taken from. It comes from Pakistan at the base of the Himalayan mountains,
Okay.
and it doesn't taste any different. It's just I didn't want to put bleach. I mean that just the
Yeah.
fact that they're bleaching it made me.
It makes no sense. What
Yeah.
is even the purpose?
I mean,
Doesn't make
what's
any
so
sense.
okay? Eat gray salt. What difference does it make? You know.
Right, right. It's like when they put stuff in tampons to make them white. Looking at them. It's crazy.
It really is.
So you started making the products and then was she using them and you were using them and you said you went cold turkey. So you got rid of everything and just started bringing in and making the things that you wanted to use or needed,
Yeah, so, the next thing my first one was my body butters, and
which I
I
love.
remember giving some to my sister-in-law. I gave her the lavender, which was my first. She called
Mm,
me 2 weeks later and she goes, "What the hell is in that jar?" And I go, "Why, what happened?" She goes, "I have never told you this, but I have eczema so bad when I scratch my legs, they bleed. I've been
mm,
to every doctor in Cincinnati and I've been using your butter and it's gone. I don't scratch, I don't itch." She goes, "I don't understand." I said, "It's all plant based.
yeah.
It's hemp seed oils, avocado, it's jojoba, and just everything natural." But the key thing is that it was lavender. So lavender is known. It's not, everybody thinks it's just a great smell, but it's actually anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antiviral. It's great for your skin. So actually, lavender is another core product in most of my products. A core
Nice
ingredient.
core
Yeah.
ingredient.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the body butters. They're so rich, but they absorb. I mean, you feel like it's actually working. A lot of the lotions that you use, they just sort of disappear, and your skin really doesn't feel better afterwards. So I think that's a really neat thing that it helped her so much. And so then you kind of knew you were onto something, I bet, or you already
Yeah.
knew, but you was confirmed.
It kind of confirmed it. So my brother was so impressed. He invested in me, gave me a lot of money. I was
Wow.
able to launch my products at the IBE, the Independent Beauty Expo.
Oh, great.
And I was able to get a website, a lab. I worked with a cosmetic chemist. So it just started spiraling. And then eventually, on my first IBE that I went to, that's where I met the Saks buyer. And they asked me to come to New York to show my product line. I was kind of like, "What? Are you kidding me?" And I
It's so
did. And
exciting.
I was on their website for 8 years. So it was really interesting.
That's really neat.
That's when I figured I'm onto something here.
Yeah. And how much thought so I mean your product stood out to me when I saw it on the shelf. I found it in a local store in Houston. This was a long time ago. It was one of the first
Right.
clean skincare brands that I like really worked for me, but just from picking it up off the shelf, it was pretty and not a lot of brands were in all in glass. the logo was just attractive. I mean, how much thought went into all of that?
I did name it oil pretty quickly only because it's oil based. I don't use
Okay.
water. But
Yeah,
then
that's a
when,
good thing to point out for everybody listening. There's no water in any of the well,
well,
the
the
spray,
mist.
the mist, right. Okay.
So because my brother had invested in me, I was able to go get rebranded. And so what they did was they inverted oil, put a hyphen in it, and then we trademarked it.
So it wasn't it didn't have the hyphen, it was just OYL all in
Yeah.
one word to begin with?
Actually, the very first one, it almost, instead of the hyphen, it had a little drop of oil. I thought it was
Really?
cute,
That is cute.
but it was a little what I call acrony. It was, too, I don't know, cutesy.
Too
And
cute.
it was interesting. And I hope people learn from this too, because I was very mad when I went to get a website built by a company.
Mhm.
They said, yes, we'll build you a website. And then by the second meeting, they were acting a little weird. And I said, what's the deal? Do you want to build this or not? And they go, honestly, I want to be truthful. I can take your money, but I think you should take that money and go get rebranded. I was mad. I was like, what? That was the best advice I ever got,
Really?
because it really mattered. That's how I was able to launch in New York, and that's how the Stack Spire found me. People liked my labeling, my glass bottles, the black and
It's
white.
is so distinct and beautiful, and it's attractive. I think it's wonderful. I think the branding is great. Of course, I didn't see it before, but
Yeah,
you obviously were happy with the rebrand, I take it.
sure. I mean,
Yeah.
it was so important to do. And
It's integral. I think people don't it's something that people kind of overlook, but it is really important, and you feel like it represents the brand appropriately.
right. Yep,
Mhm. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And so I bought the bottle. I loved it on the shelf, and I can remember the salesperson telling me, "Oh, and the mask, people come back and say this mask is addicting," which I didn't try the mask initially. I was just in the market for a face wash, and when I used it, it felt so different on my skin because I never knew what it felt like to wash my face and not feel squeaky clean.
Yeah.
And at first I didn't get it. And then I kept using it and I realized my skin's not as red. My skin is calmer. Like it's this face wash. It's crazy. And I read about the Manuka honey. And I should back up. I also loved that when I flipped the bottle over, I could read every ingredient.
Yes,
There
that
was,
was so
that was
important
so
to me.
interesting. And there was nothing like that. And I think a lot of people also believe that there's like a connotation that natural skincare isn't going to do anything.
Right.
But I felt like my skin looked better when I started using it. So it was like everything was just perfectly put together.
Well, and that was the other ingredient that I was so happy to find was Manuka honey. It's amazing what that does for your skin. And not only that, I put a teaspoon in my coffee every morning, and I literally have not ever been sick.
Wow. Yeah.
Never got COVID, don't get sinus infections. It's truly a miracle product.
And it's a specific grade of Manuka honey, even, right?
It's a
It's
medical grade. Over in New Zealand, Australia, they use it on burns patients and post surgicals.
wow.
Over here, they're starting to use it in surgery. They call it meta honey, but it is Manuka honey. You can actually over here go into CVS and get a Manuka Band-Aid now. So
Really?
they're getting understanding that this is very great for wound care, but honey is also humectant. So that
Mhm.
means it keeps moisture in your skin. So that's why you feel plumper, or why the inflammation is gone. It's also anti-inflammatory. So it's really a,
And it's different from regular honey is it because of where it's grown or how it's grown? Do you know?
well, it's only grown in New Zealand. For some reason,
Okay.
they can't grow the Manuka plant over here. It's got, most local honeys are antibacterial, but Manuka has this thing called methyl glyoxal.
Mm.
That is the medical component of it and what makes it so healing. So that's what makes it different than our local honey here.
That's so interesting. There's another ingredient. There's something in that. So I did go back and buy the mask, and I fell in love with
Right.
the mask because most masks I really can't. My skin just reacts. I can't use them, but this one I can. And I feel like, I don't know if this is accurate, but I feel like my pores look smaller when I use it. I feel like it gets some of the blackheads out,
Yeah.
but it's also not stripping, which is so cool.
Well, it's probably about 80% honey, local honey and Manuka honey.
Okay.
So that will help with inflammation and pore size. But I just love, I do it, and this the exfoliation part are actual seeds, real seeds, ground up organic lavender and rosebuds. I mean, so there's, it was
Wow.
so funny. I remember this one customer called me or sent me an email that her boyfriend didn't believe it, so he planted some, and he actually grew a plant, a
That's
strawberry plant.
hilarious.
I was like shocked, like, oh my God, I never even would have thought of that. But that's how plant based it is.
It really is. It's natural and truly plant based. And I love your slogan, "Beauty without secrets," because so much of what I'm always talking about is weird. It's shrouded in secrecy. The industry, even though the ingredients are written on the label, nobody knows what they mean. People don't know what the harms are. I love that you say that.
And when I started, I labeled everything, all the ingredients, like you said, you were able to read everything in the regular common names.
Mm,
But then I noticed everybody went toward the inky names.
yeah.
That's the names that you're like, what does that really mean? But I've learned to be able to read them now.
Yes.
And some people, some vendors want that. They want the inky names on there instead of the common names. Want people to look at my product and know exactly, they can just know what's in it.
And you have all of the descriptions, which I've read all of them on your website too, which is super helpful, and the benefits of each ingredient. And just for people listening, the Inky names is that international nomenclature. So if you were to look at a product in the US and a product in France, they would both be written the same. And that's why my app is able to work in other states too. I mean, in other countries too, is because they're all listed in Inky names. So it's like it's an official,
Right.
but it's so helpful to know what's actually in the product, and it's not just like the key ingredients, it's every ingredient has a function. I've noticed in the products, it's not a lot of filler, I guess, or
Right.
something that they use to make it look different,
I
feel
did
different.
so much research
You
on
did.
exactly what these ingredients will do for you. Even when I came out with my facial serum, I had a whole booklet made up of exactly why each one of these oils is good for your skin.
Wow.
People come in to me all the time and say, I have such sensitive skin. I'm scared to try something. And most of that sensitivity comes from chemicals. They don't realize that they're putting on. And then when they try my products, they come back and they said, oh my God, what happened? My face feels better. I said, because you're using pretty much a pure product. You know,
Yeah.
there's nothing in there that should scare you.
Or that's contaminated, or yeah, that's so wonderful. And also I think that a lot of times products that are branded as natural, but they're not, they still can cause reactions, and I feel like yours are formulated in a way that is not likely to cause those reactions, because I've tried so many, and a lot of clean products I really can't use because my skin does actually react.
Wow.
Yeah, and for some reason yours just agree with me so well. But you mentioned the face serum. Is there any other new products on the horizon?
I am right now very obsessed with matcha because of it's
Okay.
so good for your skin. I personally don't love, I'm a coffee drinker, I'm not a matcha drinker, but I know some people love it and it's supposed to be so good for you. But I've read about the skin benefits. But I want to make it a little different than my other mask. It won't be a honey mask. It'll be in the powder form where you will mix it.
Okay.
I noticed that a lot of masks are all liquid now and you put it on, but there's something about the ceremony of mixing it with honey or water. I've actually considered maybe getting an activator for it, you know, a certain thing
Yeah.
that I want to mix it with, maybe some witch hazel, maybe aloe juice or something like that to make it more bubbly, different.
Ooh, yeah.
So I've gone through a lot of renditions on that. I And I want to introduce a new ingredient. Silk peptide is very good for your skin too. So,
What are some of the benefits of matcha for the skin?
well, it's full of all the antioxidants, but it's calming. It helps
Okay.
with redness. And it's got, I can't think of the name now, what it's got in it. Gosh, I can't think of it.
Catechins?
What is it?
Is it the catechins? I don't know if I'm saying
No, there's another name. I can't think of what it is, but
that. Okay.
yeah, I'm just trying to get the formula right. You don't see much of that much in a product, but from
No.
what I've studied, I think it's really good for your skin.
And then there's a silk peptide product that you're working on as well.
Yeah, that I've been all of a sudden I found and I'm like, well, this is really interesting. It helps with anti-aging, which I know we don't want to use, but that's fine lines and pore size and softness. And it's, when you combine it with a clay, it's just got a nice cleansing feel to it.
Nice.
So, yeah.
How long does it take you to formulate each product, or does it vary on depending on the one?
It seems that lately it seems to take a long time, probably because I have the store also. But
Yeah.
I think at least a year before I
Wow.
feel comfortable or confident enough to release it to the public. I try it, I send it out and have people try it and ask for feedback. And so this one I've been working on. I love the feel of it and I like that there'll probably have to be a brush with it. So you mix it and then you can brush it on your skin, that kind of thing. So,
Goes into it, and it's really the opposite of what so much of the skincare out there is, which is a manufacturer who has a pre-made formula,
yeah,
and then the brand comes in and buys it, and it can be done like that. And this is so opposite. This is a year of tweaking and testing and
yeah,
researching. It's amazing and so worth switching to. So I
yeah.
hope this conversation inspires some people to give it a try. Do you have any, I guess, tips for people trying to make that switch? Like, is there anything that people should know about how your products work compared to regular traditional products that they might be using?
Well, the first thing, people are always very interested in the face wash, like you were. And I have to explain to them what oil cleansing is. And at first, they're like, no, I don't want oil cleansing. I'm oily. And then I explain to them that oil dissolves oil. And you're actually not, if you're using a foaming agent, you're stripping your skin, making your skin produce more oil. So I try to teach people that oil cleansing is actually one of the best things for your face, but you have to realize it's not going to foam. It's not going to make you feel dried out afterwards. You're actually going to have a glow afterwards. And that's what's good about it because that's what the honey is doing for you. It's keeping your face moist.
Right.
So that's probably the biggest thing. I have to say, my face cream is still my number one product.
Is it?
Ever since Allure did that article on it about how people glow, people want that glow look. They love how it smells. And I tell them, you just need a pea size amount. You don't need to glob moisturizer on. Just use a little bit, see how your face reacts. If you're oily, use it at night. Maybe use a serum in the morning.
Yeah, that's
And
a great.
one of my favorite products is the cleansing powder. I use that every morning because your
Oh,
face is not dirty in the morning just from sleeping. I'm drooling or I have cat hair everywhere. But
yeah.
it's a cleansing powder that gives you a very slight exfoliation. And
Yes.
when I'm done with it, I just feel like I'm brighter. My face is brighter. It's got vitamin C in it. And then I use my mist and then I put my serum on and my face just feels great.
And then you do the moisturizer at night only.
Yes, right.
Okay. And then one thing that kind of helped me that I think people skip is they're used to washing their makeup off with their face wash. But I have to do those steps separately and it works so much better if I remove all my makeup and then use the cleanser.
And
works
that's
really well.
absolutely. I tell them actually on the bottom of my bottles are the instructions and it says do not put by your eyes. One thing I sell, I used to use coconut oil on my to take off my mascara, and then
Mhm.
I got all these little white bumps all over, and I asked my eye doctor. She goes, "Those are clogged pores."
Yeah.
So then I found the makeup erasers. Have you seen those?
Yes, the cloths.
Yeah,
Yeah.
two swipes and it'll take off waterproof makeup.
Yeah.
And so we sell a lot of those. People are just fascinated that that's all you need to take off your eye makeup is water and this cloth. And so, yes, I always tell them, don't put these products by your eyes, because
Yeah. And a lot of those eye makeup removers are really bad. They make your skin
yes.
feel bad. I can remember my eyes burning using them, my skin feeling tight. It's like the opposite of what you would want to remove your makeup. So,
Plus, they end up in a landfill.
yeah. Yeah.
These makeup erasers, I throw in my washer and dryer. I've had mine for years. You just
Mhm.
keep using them and using them. So it's a sustainability thing too, and they don't sting your eyes.
Yeah, they don't sting your eyes. So, we talked about your products don't have water. You just mentioned sustainability. Would you say these are some of the standards that you've had all along, or have you figured those things out? What are like the brand pillars, I guess?
Well, I've always wanted to be more sustainable.
Mhm.
Having two young daughters or, in their teens and 20s, that's so important to that age group, more so than my age group, but I've been trying to tell them why they need to recycle. And I do have a recycle program with my products.
That's great.
But I never wanted plastic. I don't love that I have plastic tops, but at least, the glass bottles can be used or recycled.
Right. And I imagine that takes some extra cost and some extra thought to be able to use to
Definitely cost and shipping. It's heavy,
yeah,
but
that's right.
I'm not going to, change that. It's just how it's got to be nowadays.
Yeah. I love how you mentioned your daughters too. It's something that I've been talking to other moms about, which is wild, is young girls being so interested and fascinated with Sephora. They're begging their moms to take them to Sephora and go pick out all these products. And I have 2 boys, and so I don't have that struggle, but I wanna talk about this more in my content on Instagram too, and how can we reverse that? Because Sephora doesn't even have clean products for adults,
Right.
really. I mean, a few, but, and then for young girls to be going in at such a delicate developmental age, being exposed to all of this.
We find I carry some clean products besides mine in the store. We are finding 10, 11, 12 year olds fascinated and will spend hours looking at the masks and the products and wanting to understand them. So we're going to start doing preteen events to explain to them
Amazing.
the differences in the products and let them mix up a few themselves and see what it's like to use a natural product. So we do see that they're pretty interested in natural,
Mhm. That's
but
good.
it's amazing the young age. They're so into it and doing masks. One little girl wanted my crystal eye serum, and I'm like, it's not like I don't want to sell it, but you don't need it, at
Right.
12 years old.
Right.
But, we could use something like this, like a little face cream if you want to put it under your eyes, because there's a big price difference there too, and they don't need the high powered stuff. But I'm really happy that they're interested in natural products.
Yeah, and maybe that just needs to be more available. So I love that you're doing it because
Yeah.
it's a creative and fun and potentially bonding experience, I imagine, for mothers and daughters to go and to have a safe way to do that is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that's been one of the best things about having my own shop where oil is the hub of the store. It's nice to have a digital company, but when you can talk face to face with customers, show them your product, let them try it, and then they come back in a week or a month and say, "Oh my God, my face is unbelievable. I'm telling everybody." So
There's
it's
nothing like that, I imagine. Nothing like that. Yeah.
There's no digital ad that could be as good as that because
Yeah.
you have to experience it. And then I have
Yeah.
enough knowledge to tell them the differences, and that's what they want to hear. Why is
Yeah,
this
people
different?
need the back and forth. They need explanation. I mean, there's some hand holding that goes along with this because you are doing something different. And yeah, people need to be explained to. And I agree that having the conversations is so rewarding, which is a big part of the reason I'm doing this podcast because I crave it. I want to talk to people about this stuff instead of just, I mean, I'm behind the screen most of the time, but being able to connect is definitely the best part. So having them walk in your store must be amazing. So you started the store. Wait, how long has the store been opened?
I'm going into my fourth year.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
been
you're,
great.
is it doable to manage both, making the products and the store? Is it tough?
There's times when it was tough, but I have a great helper.
Mhm.
I get into work around 7 to do a lot of the oil work and make product, and then after that, then I can do the store. So figured it out. I've learned to
Yeah.
be able to do both.
That's great. Is your daughter interested at all in the business?
No, my one daughter lives in Sweden. So, and my other daughter lives in Seattle, but they're totally into their own
Yeah.
things. They think it's cool what mom's doing. That mom's an entrepreneur,
Nice.
and
Yeah.
they love the store. Whenever they need a gift, they call mom, and they
Yeah.
want something interesting and clean and sustainable. So that
That's great. I love how you call yourself an empty nest entrepreneur. It's so inspiring for everybody.
I started pretty late in the game, but I feel like I still have another occupation in me.
Yeah, you
I don't know.
do?
I can't imagine. I mean,
That's
when I look at
awesome.
my background and what I've done, this is by far the most rewarding for me.
Really? Do you feel like it kind of built one step upon the next? Do you think like the career that you had before, or is it so different? It was like starting over.
It was like starting over. I mean, I
Wow.
was a specialty store fashion buyer for 25 years, going to New York and buying clothing and crunching numbers
Mhm.
to and having a bookkeeper and salespeople, and now I have to do everything myself.
There's so much behind the scenes,
You
right?
do start from the bottom. You mop the floor, you do the dishes, you do the books, you call whoever you need to call. So it is starting over, but it's really, it gets exciting.
Yeah. So exciting. And how do you or how have you found the brands that you carry in the store? Is that something that constantly changes or how does that work? I'm just curious.
Been in this industry for 8 9 years now. I've made friends at different venues I've gone to, mostly the people from the Independent Beauty Expo. I carry French Girl organic lip balms for color. Those are really great. Everything I carry has to be natural. I do try to turn things over and introduce customers to newer products. I was just going to start bringing in Audacity for their SPF foundation, and also Cary Grant.
Wonderful. I've used Cary Grant. I have not used Audacity, but that SPF foundation has caught my eye. Do you use it?
I do, and I'd had a number of customer asking for it, and yet I've tried so many different kinds. I'm really picky. I
Hmm.
happen to like Gucci Westman,
Yes.
but the price is just too much for where I am.
I didn't
I love
realize hers was an SPF either.
No, it's not. So,
It's
but because I'm looking for SPF, I just have to really read the ingredients, read the reviews, and decide. And those are the two I'm going to start with. But I also carry a natural magnesium body butter and oils. People love this stuff. And I was actually a customer who asked me to bring it in. But to
nice.
put magnesium on the bottom of your feet before bed is very calming, relaxing, helps you sleep. That
Wow.
was something I had learned from a customer, and now it's probably one of my biggest sellers.
Neat. I'm gonna have to try that because I soak in magnesium salt. I love baths with magnesium. I take magnesium. Like I feel that it just works well for me. So I'd be so curious to try it in
Yeah,
a
I
cream.
mean, they say that you can take it orally, but it is most effective on the bottom of your foot.
On the bottom of your feet.
Yeah,
Interesting. Even more so than orally. That's so
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I learned stuff from my customers too.
Yeah. It's like it's an interactive business.
It really is. People come in and say, "Well, can you get this for me?" I go, "Sure, I'll find it." So, but I tell them, it's got to be natural. I can't just have anything in here. So,
Yeah.
trying to think of what else I carry.
Do you carry some not skincare and cosmetic items too?
Oh, I have a gift store.
You
I
have
have
gifts. Okay.
lots of candles and gift cards that are really unusual. You're not going to find at Hallmark, and jewelry that's local.
Nice.
Lots of plant-based things. I just it's a fun. People love to come here to get a special gift that you're not going to find on Amazon or Target.
Yeah. Yeah, something really unique. Like it's when you're looking for a different gift.
Right, like right now, have you heard of Brightland oil?
I have not. No.
So they actually introduced that as a beauty oil, but it's actually olive oil for cooking
Okay.
and eating. And it comes in all these flavors. And it's like almost the number one housewarming gift now. Instead of a bottle of wine, you bring them this beautiful bottle of basil flavored olive oil
I
that
love that.
the vendor has gone out of the way. She has researched and found so many olive oils are rancid that we're cooking with. But hers are right off the trees and go through a real clean process just to make olive oil for
And it's
cooking and eating.
Brightland is the name?
Yeah, Brightland. It's really a great oil to dip bread in or to make salad dressings. I wouldn't want to cook with it because it's expensive, but it's so delicious. It's
It's
addicting.
delicious. Would you ever consider selling some of those products online or will it always be
I mean, probably not those kind of things because it would become too much.
yeah. And
And
that's I guess
shipping.
that's the kind of thing that you want that you need to buy in person, that you need to see it in
Yeah.
person and buy. That makes sense. I like that idea of bringing olive oil because I don't drink alcohol and I don't know, I would love to receive a bottle of olive oil.
Especially this stuff. I mean, I've tried lots of olive oil, and this stuff is just amazing. The lemon is great. The chili's got a bite to it. There's garlic
Nice.
that feels like it could cure anything.
Yeah.
It's really fun. I we can ship. I have people see stuff on Instagram, and then they'll call, and then we can ship it out. But putting it
Right,
on
'cause I
the
follow Orange Rose Apothecary and you do share some things. I can't remember if it was you or you shared somebody, but it was that picture. It was a tote that you had or a little bag and it
yeah.
has the drawing of the two girls. I
Yeah.
love that so much. You didn't sketch that, did you?
No, actually, I follow this woman artist on Instagram named Momoi, Mooi,
Okay.
and I she does work for really big companies, and I called her one or I DM'd her and then she gave me her number and I
Mhm.
told her, and I was just a small company and she drew that. So that's me, my daughter, and my dog.
I love that image. And I've had people because I posted once about the notebook that I have with that same image and people asking me saying they wanted to buy it. Like, I don't think you can.
Oh
Maybe
yeah.
you should sell it. You
Yeah.
should start selling it.
Well, that's something I could put on the website. Yeah. So I have
Yeah.
a woman here locally that she can take that image and put it on different things for
Yeah.
me. So yeah, I was so happy that she agreed to do that picture for me, and it just came out perfect using the roses and the pink Himalayan salt and the
Yes.
lavender. It was,
It's
and
difficult
she's
to describe. Most people are just going to be hearing us. I wish I could go grab it, but it's such a neat picture because it
yeah,
looks like the petals have been pressed onto the paper.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
if you go
great.
on her Instagram, you'll be blown away. You could just sit there for hours and watch her draw these things. And the companies that she does things for, and yet she took me on too.
That's so cool.
It
I want
was
to go check it out. It's Mooi. I will
yeah,
definitely, I'm gonna definitely check that out. I like that kind of stuff.
yeah.
One thing I want to ask before we wrap up is I noticed you have the skin quiz and that some of your products are better for different skin types. Can you give us like an overview of what might work for the few different skin types so people know what to buy?
Sure. So it's mostly by combination, oily or dry.
Okay.
I think for the combination, actually, I have to look and see what each one is now. Now I don't remember.
I'm
But
sorry I put you on
I
the
mean,
spot with that. But maybe
there's
just
what?
general tips for people when they're buying. Like I guess I would say that the honey face wash probably everyone can use.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you shouldn't use if you're super oily?
Well, probably the face cream because
Mhm.
that's pretty dense. It's a lot of oils that are whipped. So that's why I came up with the face serum. I happen to love the face serum. It's lighter.
Okay.
So I do have oilier, sweatier skin. So that works out great for me. I
Okay.
really think if you have oily skin, I think the hydrating facial mist is really good for you. It has
Yeah.
the witch hazel in it and the aloe. I think that works great. Also, if you have oily skin but not sensitive skin, the cleansing powder is really good for that.
Okay. I've been meaning to ask you. You sent me once in one of my packages the seashell with the lip balm in it, the solid, and I love that lip balm.
I'm
I wish
trying
I could buy
to
more of it.
well, it's the same formula that I put in my on the lip balm tubes.
It is, but the lip balm
Yeah.
is more like a gloss in the tubes, is that right?
No, it's the same formula. I just wanted to put it in a shell, but I had a hard time balancing the shells and making it look good.
Mhm.
That's why
Okay.
I wanted to send that to you, but that's the same formula. I put it also, you can buy my lip balm in the little jar.
Okay, I didn't realize that. I'm glad I asked
Yes.
'cause that is an excellent product. You
Yeah.
know, it's
That's one
so
of my
good.
top. People love that. They're always telling me how dry their lips are. And if you have dried lips or even cracked lips, that Manuka honey is going to help that so much.
It's
Instead of,
really good. It works, and it looks nice on too, I would say.
yeah,
So many chapsticks dry your lips out in lip
there's
balm.
there's something about chapstick that dries it. It just
It's
occludes
weird.
it, so nothing can breathe in and out. I was addicted to chapstick for a long time, and that's why I was so happy that I was able to incorporate honey into the beeswax and the other oils, the hemp seed oils that are in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great product. It really is. Well, this has been so much fun. I love hearing about the ingredients and the products and getting to know you a little bit better just because I've been using your products for it's probably been 10 close to 10 years now.
Probably you were one of the first. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of full circle, really full circle to get to talk to you. It's really a pleasure.
Thank you so much.